Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to a Requiem in London. In this particular scene, Julian has decided to contact Dr. Hartwell on a particular matter of importance. He has his message back from Hartwell has asked him to meet him on London Bridge somewhere in a relatively, I think they both agree, a vacant location on the bridge. And I am losing my words. Blech. For this particular meeting about potential sensitive information. Julian will arrive at the location. Casual. No, he doesn't seem to be wearing any heavy clothing or any particular equipment on him at the moment. He's just looking out onto the river and waiting for Hartwell to show himself to him.
So what Julian's going to feel, because you will feel this, is Hartwell is going to spend some blood, and he is going to pull you into his obfuscate. So essentially, he is going to cloak you.
All right. Julian will turn, a little shaken by the effect of. Technically, though, he wouldn't know of obfuscate, but out of character, it's almost kind of like a pseudo, like muffling, almost nothingness effect since you're condensing the beast away. And
so he essentially uses Cloak of Night, which is rank 3, to pull you into his obfuscate.
He'll turn and see Hartwell, I assume.
He's seated currently, kind of with his hands over the back of his head as he's kind of leaning. Or he's seated on the edge of the bridge, basically with his hands up over the back of his head, resting on one of the stone pillars.
Hartwell.
Goodman, pleasure to see you again.
Likewise. So I hope the knights have been treating you well.
Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's always the same when there's a war on.
True.
Now then, what can I do for you, Mr. Goodman?
I have gotten information from an anonymous source that you may have been, let's just say, zealous in your duties to the Ordo.
I am going to not Spirit Touch. I'm going to use Auspex 2 on Julian because I need to ask him. I need to ask a question or two to confirm how much he knows or how much he doesn't know. So give me just a moment to get my pools up. Actually, no, screw it. It's all right. He'll say, overzealous to the Order. I've merely carried out my instructions as I was given them.
And I believe that you do. But there's no other way to put it, but there's best way to put it. There's been a complaint.
There we go. Sorry. You were saying?
Julian says, I believe you are doing what you're supposed to, what you've been asked to of the Order, but there's no other simpler way to put it. There has been a complaint filed against you.
By whom?
By an individual. I said, I've been a manager for a few years, so it's best not to throw out names unless it's absolutely necessary.
Oh, if you say so, Mr. Goodman.
There have been cases.
What then is the nature of the complaint?
I feel that you have been overstepping your boundaries when it comes to polite conduct. There's been complaints of breaking and entering. So a breach of privacy.
We are at war, Mr. Goodman.
So, I do not deny that. But the person has came looking for an older member to officially say this, and that should be an interesting thought. If we're at war, and somebody by themselves came, not necessarily to me, but came into Order territory, unarmed, said, with with any protective wards or people, to bring this information up to anybody.
I could. Next time I see Mr. Ben, remind me to beat him to a bloody pulp. You see him smile. We are, as I say, Mr. Goodman, fighting a war. A war that is much greater in scope than I think that you give credence to. He is a tool.
I don't deny that. But the information about you torporing one of our esteemed members brings pause to me.
He smiles. I was ordered to do so.
May you tell me by whom?
One of the Twilight judges. A Nosferatu, if you must know.
So
he asked me to bring him in. I did so. It took me quite a merry dance to find him. I was all over the city, but I found him, and I brought him in.
If it was established by the Ordo, then I can't do much about it. So.
You are aware of the fact that Kogile is being investigated for being a Strix cultist?
Yes, I am.
And it is likely that she has been using her influence. I can prove categorically that she murdered at least one of our covenant without authorization and without fair and just process. She killed him like a dog in his own haven. I can prove that. But more information is currently being gathered to make the case against the Kogile. But then again, since I say this and you say that you are aware of it, that means that you have also been in contact with the Twilight Judge, or one of the two. There are two.
No, I've been getting whispers from other members of the Ordo that give me bits and pieces of information. So, to be honest, I've gotten more information by Mr. Smith than any, with direct information from Mr. Smith than I have gotten from any Ordo. To understand, my position is that of a tool, not a arbiter or advisor.
I quite understand, Mr. Goodman. However, the Kogile used to be the leader of the Axe within this city. Your particular section of our organization bears her much personal loyalty.
You know, as to that, well, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, unless it was told to me, I have no personal bias with anybody within the Axe. Or with or against anyone within the Axe.
Let me ask you an odd question, Mr. Goodman. Do you wish this war to end?
Out of character, do you ask, do you wish for the war to end?
Yes, do you wish for this war to end?
Julian says, yes, it gets in the way of my typical duties. I really say interest.
You see, I also want this war to end. It stopped being profitable a long time ago. So, my dear Mr. Smith is feeding you information. That makes sense. The other Twilight Judge's adventurer. More than likely, he has communicated this to Mr. Smith.
So, possibly. As far as I can tell, when I spoke to Mr. Smith, he was utterly distressed by your actions.
Hartwell smiles. By the way, which Mr. Smith are we talking about?
I'm assuming since you brought up Mr. Smith, Benjamin Smith.
Yes. Oh, no, sorry. He will say, Mr. Smith, well, he will either prove his use or I'll kill him. Simple. We are fighting for much larger stakes, Mr. Goodman, than one kindred feeling oppressed. We are fighting for this city. I have some information that I feel might sway your opinions. Are you aware, for example, that it is the Strix who created the Revenant problem that currently haunts the city streets?
Yes, I believe you told me that previously.
Good. Good. Yes. And now the Carthians are splitting into factions in order to either break away to join the Invictus under House Valerius, or staying loyal to Verve, who is a homicidal maniac.
He stands there waiting for you to continue.
Okay. The proposition that I brought to Ben Smith was simple. In order for this war to be won, the Covenants need to unite once again in order to put down our common enemy, who are the Strix, whom even now work behind the scenes to destroy us all. With that in mind, I suggest to him that were this to continue, that we would have to eliminate the current head of the Carthian movement in the form of Miss Verve, so that a more pliable and agreeable head of their organization could be put in place.
Is Verve truly this volatile? I hear that she is passionate, but I have never met the woman.
She swore at least once openly that she would never have peace in the city provided one Invictus continued to draw breath.
But I believe you wish for all the Carthians to be destroyed, so it's not uncommon that
I have never wished the Carthian movement to be destroyed. However, the Carthian movement have been so deeply infected by Strix corruption that I figured that it was easier to burn it out. Because I have seen how deeply corrupted they have been. I was the one who asked Prince Graves to give amnesty to the Carthians who surrendered. This was my request.
You know, answer that.
As it stands, unfortunately, I currently need Mr. Smith because, as I say, we need to know when it is that we may take advantage and snuff out the firebrand, so it is the Carthians can be brought to the table.
If that's the case, then we'll see what happens.
As for the Kogile, I was informed by the Twilight Judge to bring in this person alive. They are currently gathering evidence and informants to create their case before they confront the Kogile.
Then I'll keep my ear out.
Quite so. However, various different elements of the Ordo will now likely... Oh, I didn't mention the fact that Kogile tried to have me killed, did I?
As if I assume would probably be the case with your actions of recent.
I beg your pardon?
I assume that'd be the case.
Oh, no. This was before any of these actions. This was months ago. when it was that I first discovered that she had Strix's leanings and discovered that she executed one of our sworn brothers rather brutally, tore out his throat with her own fangs.
I see. And this hasn't been reported since then, or she's been blocking such things.
It hasn't been reported, though individuals such as Lenistav know because I informed them, and nothing has been done about it because she has likely quashed it. I carry the proof with me on my person, as a matter of fact.
I see. So, yeah, I see it.
He reaches into his pocket and he removes a very small piece of what appears to be carpeting in a small cellophane bag.
Hmm. And that
For
and that
those of
have
us who are gifted in the arts of Auspex, if you touch that, it will provide all the information you require.
understood. Hmm. So, so I appreciate what you do for the Ordo, Mr. Hartwell.
I'm everyone's favorite bagman.
Hmm.
I'm going to say this very simply, Mr. Goodman. The Ordo requires monsters to do what is monstrous. I am simply one of those monsters.
So, Julian shrugs his shoulders. It's like, if we were humanitarians, said the Ordo would be a much different machine. Why anybody assumes that we are is foolishness on themselves.
Since I have been generous and given of you information, I'm curious, have you heard anything interesting or been asked to do anything of note or interest recently? Other than slap me on the wrist for being mean to poor Mr. Smith.
My typical duties. So, search and capture. So, after the Linkea attacks, so it's been interest individuals of late.
Hmm.
So, there was a particular one that I've been asked to assist with.
Oh, and what is this?
Hmm. Don't know exactly if it was an ordo matter or a private matter, but I was asked to assist. And we didn't capture him quite yet. We are biding our time on this particular individual. But I don't know what
Ah,
interest they have to the host.
here is the question. It seems you have also been sent to capture someone. I'm curious who's pulling that string.
Couldn't tell you.
You didn't ask.
I don't typically am asked to ask a lot of questions.
Hmm. As you say, Mr. Goodman. As you say.
So it's like, I'm sorry. I'm a relatively boring individual.
No. You've answered all that I needed to know. Who was this individual who you were hunting down?
It's an adventurer of the Ordo.
I see. Well, I shall bid you good night, Mr. Goodman, if that is all that we need discuss.
For now, I said. Well, We'll ask them. I understand that our priorities are set. We may have our enemies in this war, but let's not try to just, how you say, make more enemies just for them to hide after this war is over. It's typically not what the fight itself or even the war. It's the revenge afterwards that gets people killed.
Good night, Mr. Goodman. And with that, you'll feel the obfuscate rescind from around you, and Hartwell is gone. Unless you have all specs.
No, I don't. At best, which if he was careless, which I doubt it, I might be able to sense disturbances around the physical world because of my senses better than that now.
Okay. And that is, I feel, our scene.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Have a good morning, evening, or night.